last orchid design, we're going to do something that's a little bit more decorative with our orchid plant. And we're going to plant it in this beautiful glass bowl. You could use a fruit or salad bowl from your kitchen, and it doesn't have to be glass. An open dish bowl is what you're looking for to do this particular type of design. Because it has a small bottom and we are going to leave it very open, we can only put a small piece of foam in there. So instead of using regular dry foam, we're going to use styrofoam. Styrofoam combined with pan glue is an extremely strong mechanic. And we want to take a small piece that will fit down in the bottom of the bowl. So something like this. And you just want to check on the bottom and make sure that you don't see any of the corners when you glue it in there. I'm going to just take those corners off a smidge. Use a little pan glue here. Pan glue is really the best hot melt for gluing styrofoam because a glue gun melts too hot and it tends to just disintegrate your styrofoam. And that will set down into the bottom like so. And you can kind of see here where the glue shows through. So you can imagine if it was up on the sides of the bowl, as you look at it, you would see it coming through there. So that's the beginning of our design. In this case, I've pulled a beautiful kind of burgundy tone Vanda Orchid to pot. And again, it does not have the plant attached, so we've pulled the plant separate to go with it. Has these wonderful, fabulous long roots on it. And just remember, you don't have to use things exactly the way they are. So if you don't want all of these roots attached, you can just cut some of them off. So let's just thin that out of here. And it won't be quite as hairy looking. And then again, bend your leaves out, give them a little bit of styling. So, and this will go into the center of the bowl because we're doing a single plant. Its stem is way too long. So we need to cut this off fairly short because the styrofoam is only 2 inches thick, so you don't have a lot of room to insert a stem in there. We'll go ahead and make this hole for this plant to begin with and then pull it back out and put the pan glue on it. And then stick it back in that same hole in the foam. And we've got a pretty plant, and then our orchid stem will go right next to the plant. And again, kind of looking at it, deciding how tall you want it to be. You can cut that stem off a smidge. Pan glue. That's why they call it dip and stick, was one of the brands, because you simply dip it in there and stick it in place, and it's really kind of nice to not have to pick it up, a glue gun up every time you want to add glue to something. Again, this one is a little bit top heavy with the stem. It's not supporting it real well, so we'll put a piece of bamboo next to it. And we can just kind of wrap that stem around there, and you can tie it on with some raffia or a piece of plant string. And that'll stabilize our flower nicely in there. So to cover our mechanics up, you've got, you can always use your sphagnum moss to cover that. The thing is it's a little bit dirty, and if you don't get it tucked in real tight, it can, it doesn't cover as well as some things would. My favorite thing for using in this type of design is just nice sandbox sand. It's clean and it's simple and it just works its way around. So you can just pour some of this in the bowl. And we're going to put enough in here to just cover around the styrofoam. To add some texture and interest to this, I've pulled a nice piece of wood. You can drill this with a drill and put wood picks into it if you want to make it very stable, but particularly when you're doing this kind of thing for yourself, and you may want to do it a little differently next time, you can just set that in the bowl, find a nice angle for it. There's all kinds of different possibilities and ways that you could use that in there. There's not really a right or wrong, you just want it to look natural. And I've also picked just a rock up out of the creek bed, It's sprayed with some clear to give it a lot of color, and it does add a little bit of shine, kind of like it's wet. And that can tuck in there as well, and that adds some nice weight to balance the piece of wood on this side. Perhaps a few stems of grass, and they'll add a bit of texture in there. And again, using your pan glue is always a good idea because styrofoam has a very open density to it, and it doesn't hold stems very well if they're not glued. But of course, it's totally up to you, and if you're creating this for your home, if it comes apart, then you can put it back together, and the advantage to not gluing it is that you can easily take it apart and rework it next time. Maybe a pretty little fern could be cute in there. Again, cutting the stem off, and we can kind of tuck it over on this side. Perhaps we'll let those roots work their way out of the bowl over there. It's a nice bit of texture kind of weaving its way out of the bowl there. And underneath, a nice piece of moss could be tucked in there. Again, this is the artificial moss. It's a little bit big to go into the bowl evenly and not stand up. So just take your knife and then cut a piece off once you decide the width you'd like it to be. You can see it's got the white foam on the inside. If you have problems with that showing, spray it with some good mossy paint. And otherwise, it can be tucked in there and you'll never even see it. Maybe a little fern over on this side. Add a bit more of sand if you find that you've got some spots that are showing, any styrofoam that's showing, or you just want a little bit more sand to show in the arrangement. Again, this is where you kind of can decide whether it's finished or not. If you like it at this point, it's fine. I love to add just a little bit of curly something to it because it adds that wonderful wispy feel and kind of fills in this space up in the area where your flower is. I'm going to take the side stem off of this one, and then always kind of holding your stem up against the arrangement so you can see what it looks like. We can decide what height we want it to be and how it fills in. If we rotate it out of the arrangement a little bit like that, it gives, again, a little bit more width in the design and a nice little bit of height above the orchid there. We can go ahead and glue it in. Like so. Well, it's attached itself to me now. And once that glue is dried in there, you have a very permanent mechanic. Turn this around, see how it looks from the other side. And it might be fun to kind of add just a little bit of this over here to kind of read back into the arrangement this way. And we have a beautiful little girl ready to decorate a location in our home. Thank you so much for joining us for Design Inspirations. We hope to see you again soon.